The Grand Assembly of the Galactic Coalition had convened for what was supposed to be the most significant diplomatic gathering in 7,000 standard cycles. Representatives from 43 species filled the massive crystalline chamber on Nexus Prime, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, whistles, telepathic hums, and bioluminescent displays. Ambassador Chen Wei sat quietly at the human delegation's modest table, watching the chaos unfold. The debate had been raging for 6 hours now, centered on the proposed Universal Resource Allocation Protocol, a framework that would determine how the galaxy's most precious materials would be distributed among member species. The Vorthak delegation, with their imposing 12-foot frames and metallic exoskeletons, argued for allocation based on military contribution to galactic security. Their leader, General Thexkar, pounded his forearms against the podium with rhythmic precision that translated roughly to, "Strength protects all. Strength deserves reward." The ethereal luminari countered with their flowing musical tones that their advanced terraforming technology had created 17 habitable worlds in the past century alone. Their representative's entire body shimmered with indignant silver. Light, as she insisted, creation supersedes destruction. Innovation merits recognition. From the gas giant dwellers, the Nephilim argued through their mechanical translators that their deep space mining operations in hostile environments made them indispensable. The insectoid Zakth buzzed angrily about their pollination services that had saved 12 agricultural worlds from famine. Chen observed it all with growing fascination. Each species presented their case with absolute certainty, backed by impressive statistics and historical precedents. The crystalline architects showcased holographic models of space stations they'd built. The Aquatic Alliance demonstrated their water purification innovations through beautiful light displays. The debate had devolved into what humans might call a cosmic measuring contest. As the arguments grew more heated, smaller species began forming coalitions. The peaceful herbivorous Gentari aligned with the scholarly keepers of memory, while the nomadic void walkers surprisingly sided with the militant Talon Empire. Ancient grudges surfaced. Old alliances cracked. The carefully constructed diplomatic framework was crumbling in real time. Supreme Arbitrator Vex Ani, a being of pure energy contained within a geometric lattice, flickered with obvious distress. Her harmonic voice resonated through the chamber's translation matrix. "Order. We must maintain." "Enough." The word erupted from Chen's throat with such unexpected force that every being in the chamber froze. The human had shot to his feet, his modest 5'8" frame somehow commanding the attention of creatures that towered over him, beings of pure energy, and entities that existed partially in other dimensions. In the sudden silence, Chen looked around the assembly. Hundreds of alien eyes, sensors, and consciousness fields focused on him with mixtures of curiosity, annoyance, and anticipation. He cleared his throat and said simply, "Sorry." The reaction was immediate and catastrophic. The Vorthak translator began smoking as it tried to process the concept. General Thexkar's posture shifted into what his species used for extreme confusion, his metallic limbs contorting awkwardly. The translation came through as error, regret for interruption, acknowledging potential wrongness, does not compute. The luminary representative's silvery glow flickered rapidly between 17 different colors as her people's language tried to find an equivalent. Their entire culture was built on absolute conviction in their actions. The concept of apologizing for simply speaking was incomprehensible. The insectoid Zakth began clicking frantically among themselves. In their hive mind society, individual action without collective approval was impossible. An apology for autonomous behavior created a logical paradox that sent their entire delegation into confused chittering. "What sorcery is this?" demanded the lead representative of the Talon Empire, his predatory features twisted in bewilderment. "You claim territory with force, then? Surrender it voluntarily? This goes against all tactical doctrine." The crystalline. Architects' geometric forms began shifting and rotating as they tried to calculate the mathematical probability of someone asserting dominance and then immediately relinquishing it. Several of them started glowing with error code patterns. Chen watched the mounting chaos with growing concern. Half the species were arguing about the translation accuracy, a quarter were running diagnostic checks on their universal translators, and the rest were engaged in heated philosophical debates about the logical impossibility of what they'd just witnessed. The Aquatic Alliance delegate had actually started bubble screaming, a sign of extreme distress in her species. The Gentari had begun their meditation panic response, humming in discordant frequencies that made several other delegates clutch their auditory organs. I was just being polite, Chen said weakly, which only made things worse. Polite? The word emerged from 43 different translation systems simultaneously, creating a cacophony that shattered 2 windows and triggered the chamber's emergency containment fields. The scholarly keepers of memory began frantically accessing their vast databases, searching for any precedent of a species demonstrating courtesy during territorial assertion. Their findings: 0 matches in 847,000 years of recorded galactic history. Supreme Arbitrator Vexani's energy form was now flickering between orange and purple, the universal sign of a cosmic-level headache. Ambassador Chen, her voice carried undertones of desperate confusion. Your species has disrupted a formal assembly, demonstrated dominance, then expressed regret for the action, and now claims this was social courtesy? Yes? Chen replied, the question mark audible in his tar. That single word, that tiny expression of uncertainty, was the final straw. The Vorthak delegation erupted into their war cry, not from aggression, but from complete mental overload. A species that had conquered 17 star systems couldn't comprehend someone being unsure about their own motivations. The Void Walkers, who navigated the infinite emptiness between galaxies with perfect certainty, began phase-shifting uncontrollably. Several of them briefly existed in 14 dimensions at once. The Nephilim's leader, a being who had survived in the crushing depths of gas giants for 3 centuries, started hyperventilating through his respirator. They assert, then retreat, then express uncertainty about the retreat. What manner of madness is this? Chen looked around at the absolute pandemonium he'd created. Beings were consulting emergency protocols. Others were demanding immediate psychological evaluations of the entire human species. 3 separate coalitions had already dissolved, while 2 new ones had formed specifically to study the human paradox. The gentle Gentari delegate approached Chen with obvious trepidation. Ambassador, she said in her melodious voice, in our culture we have a saying, the deepest currents move with the softest sound. We do not understand your people, but perhaps that is the point? Chen smiled, another expression that sent several species into renewed fits of confusion. Maybe, he said. Maybe the universe is complicated enough that we don't always need to have all the answers right away. As those words propagated through the translation matrix, something unexpected happened. The chaos began to settle, not into order, but into a different kind of understanding. For the first time in galactic history, an assembly ended not with a resolution but with a question. What if certainty wasn't the highest virtue? The resource allocation debate was postponed indefinitely. Instead, the coalition established the Chen Institute for Uncertainty Studies, the first galactic institution dedicated to exploring the revolutionary concept that maybe, sometimes, nobody needed to be absolutely right about everything. And it all started with one very human word. Sorry.